Hey everyone, it's me, Matt. Welcome back to my channel. As always, I hope you've all had an amazing week. So I've got two projects for today's video. We're gonna start in my front yard and we're gonna pinch and then plant my giant purple zinnias seedlings. I'm so excited to get these zinnias planted in my front garden. And then I wanted to share some footage I took at a friend's house a few days ago. They have a bunch of ladyfinger palms in their backyard that were encroaching on their lawn area, and they asked if I wanted to come over and dig some up for my garden. And of course, I can't say no to free plants. So let's get into it. Starting with my zinnia seedlings, they're finally ready to be pinched and planted. I recommend waiting until the seedlings are about 8 to 10 inches tall before pinching off the central growth points. Pinching out the center growth points encourages branching, which encourages more flowers and bushier plants. Plant pinching is really simple. You can use your fingernails or a sharp set of pruners or scissors. All you need to do is remove the top section of the plant just above a set of leaves. Also, I always try to leave at least 2 sets of adult leaves on the plant when I pinch them. You'll notice some of my plant seedlings are forming flower buds at their centers, so yes, pinching the tops out does sacrifice some blooms, but in the long run, it's better for the plants. So giving you a close-up on the first few plants, I'm just gonna pinch out the top right here above a set of leaves, and you'll notice I'm leaving at least 2 sets of adult leaves on the plant. One more time, pinching off the top just above a set of leaves. Last up close example, pinching the top out, removing that center growth point. In the next few days, this plant will start sending out new growth points at the leaf nodes here, here, and here. This will cause the plant to become fuller and it'll produce more flowers in the long run. So let me really quick pinch the rest and then we'll get them all planted in the ground. All right, zinnia pinching is all done. So I've got my hand shovel and my slow release granular fertilizer. So let's get these plants in the ground. All done, my zinnias are all planted and watered in. As you saw, I planted them in groups of 3 throughout my front landscape. Now that these plants are in the ground, they should really start taking off. When it comes to watering, these zinnias are in the same drip irrigation zone as the verbena propagations I planted in last week's video, so they'll get watered daily in the early morning. My drip system runs for 40 minutes, and I've got the drip tubing with 18-inch emitter spacing, and the emitters release water at 1 gallon per hour. Of course, I'll monitor these plants for the first couple of weeks while their roots settle in and hand water if needed. All right, now that my zinnias are all planted, let me show you the footage from a few days ago when I dug up those ladyfinger palms at my friend's house. Afterward, we'll come back to my garden and I'll show you where I plan to plant them. Here's the ladyfinger palms in my friend's backyard. These plants work great as a privacy screen in the garden. They really create a living wall. These palms are slow growing and they stay compact with their clumping growth habit, and they top out at about 8 to 10 feet. So here I am starting to dig them out. These palms spread by underground rhizome, and you can see how they've started to encroach on the lawn area. In order to keep the palms in check, the baby plants that form off the rhizomes of the parent plants should be removed during the growing season. This can typically be done twice a year, in the spring and then again in the early fall. You can see here I'm digging around the baby plant to loosen up the dirt and find the main rhizome. Once the main rhizome has been located, I use loppers to cut the baby plant off the parent plant, and a lot of times the baby plant has already developed its own root system. It was a really warm day and I quickly broke a sweat digging all these palms out, but I was happy to do the work because who can say no to free plants? In total, I dug up about 10 ladyfinger palms, and you can see here how I've got them all laid out in the grass. And then looking back at the parent plants, you can barely tell I removed anything. Regardless, I wanted to give my friends a big thank you for letting me have some of their beautiful palm trees. Once I got the palms back to my house, I potted them up into some containers. I've got an area in my garden that I want to put them eventually, but I need to do some cleanup and prep in the area first. We'll take a look at that area in just a moment. I wish I had some more larger containers. Some of these root systems were really big. You can see I had to cram this one into this smaller container. Luckily, these are only temporary homes. A lot of them had smaller root systems, and I was able to double up some of them in one container. Once everything was all planted in, I made sure to water them in thoroughly. Ladyfinger palms only need to be watered about once a week during the growing season. A good rule of thumb is to water them when the top inch of soil feels dry. Overwatering should be avoided because it can quickly lead to root rot. It's actually better to underwater these palms versus overwater them. So now that I've shared the footage of me digging up and transplanting my ladyfinger palms, let me show you where I plan to put them here in my garden. So this is an area of my yard that's been neglected for a full year. I wasn't joking when I said I wasn't ready to plant them because I need to clean up and prep the area first. You can see the sword ferns and weeds have completely taken over. Believe it or not, there's actually a dry stacked brick fire pit under all this mess. This area of my yard is in desperate need of a complete overhaul. For reference, I'll spin you around. We're in the southeast corner of my backyard. You can see my back patio across the lawn where I've done a lot of filming for some of my other videos. Turning back around, once I get this area cleaned up, I want to plant my ladyfinger palms along this chain link fence to create a living wall between my yard and my neighbors. Once established, they'll really screen out this area and add some privacy to my backyard. Like I said before, the palms spread by rhizome, so I wanted to also add an in-ground barrier along the fence line so the palms don't creep into my neighbor's yard. They probably won't appreciate a bunch of ladyfinger palms encroaching into their property. So that's kind of the plan for the palms in this area. Cleaning up the space and planting the palms is only the first step in the makeover project. Once cleared, I plan to mulch the area and reclaim the fire pit, maybe plant some flowers, and hopefully add some more Adirondack chairs, but those projects are all for future videos. Overall, getting my hands on these ladyfinger palms is definitely giving me the motivation to rejuvenate my backyard space. Again, I wanted to give a big thank you to my friends for giving me these plants. Anyways, that's a wrap with today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm so glad I got my zinnias planted in the ground, and I'm thrilled I got my hands on some ladyfinger palms. Remember to hit those like and subscribe buttons so you can hang out with me in future videos. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.